Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Tony the Mole Adams YouTube channel. And we're not going to be able to explain to you in a way you understand why the only 2 weeks we've missed. Well, it's 1 week we were actually in the same city, and the second week we're back home with seemingly nothing else to do. But Tony, firstly, Las Vegas was crazy, and the distances between the hotels were massive, and there was so many things to do. We were only there for 6 days. I was there for 6 days. You were there for, I think, maybe a little less. And we only sort of saw each other at the match briefly, didn't we?
Yes, we did. Yeah, I intended to go over and have a holiday, seeing I paid most of my own way. But believe it or not, my professionalism kicked in. I thought there's so many good stories
I
here.
don't
I'm
believe it.
working my ass off and filing a lot of stories for Wide World of Sports. And I didn't intend to do that. But I figure I'm only going to go to Vegas once to cover rugby league. So I may as well not only enjoy it, but get a bit of work out of it as well.
You'll be back next week, I'm sure. And then the following week, even though we sort of went in separate directions to go home, both had bad cases of jet lag. So when we were ready to record this, suddenly I found myself nodding off. So finally, 2 weeks later, I'm not going to call you an old man, but I feel like an old man. It's taken me 2 weeks to recover from the trip, but we're back. And Tony, Midweek Scoops is also back. And the big question a lot of rugby league fans in general, particularly Warriors fans, want to know is how are they going to replace Addin Fonua-Blake? And as you put on your glasses, you have some answers.
Yes, well, the name that's being mentioned is a guy who plays for the Dragons, big Francis Molo. Now, remember, he's played Origin for Queensland, so he's played at a high level. He's also played for the Cook Islands. He's also played for Samoa. You can probably explain how that can happen, Steve. But anyway, he's been around. He's 28, 29 years old, and he's one of the few big men available at the end of the season. He hasn't come to terms with the Dragons, so of course he's allowed to talk to rival clubs. There's two or three clubs talking to him, but from what I'm hearing, the Warriors are the favourites simply because they're desperate for a big man to replace Addin Fonua-Blake for next season.
Yeah, well, I think Ronaldo Mulatalo has actually played for Samoa, the United States, and New Zealand, and was very close, hours away from play for Queensland as well. So I think he's got Francis Molo. He's got Francis Molo covered. Now I watched every game at the weekend, bar the Dragons and the Titans in the NRL, and I watched most Super League games as well. It was kind of like with the jet lag, there wasn't much else to do but sit and watch TV. And Morgan Harper was a fella who impressed me. Playing for the Eels. He's a former Manly player, but Tony again a bit of mail that all may not be well there.
Yeah, look, he's had to put up with a week of headlines, and it's come the week he's made his debut for Parramatta. And as you say, played pretty well last week. And he's been reading all these headlines that Parramatta want to sign Zach Lomax to play in the centres. So it's understandably he's told his mates it's pretty much shaken him. And it's times like this we got to remember these guys are like human beings. It's like if someone
Like human beings.
it's like if someone came out and said, Channel 9 wants to sign Phil Rothfield to replace Tony Adams. I'd be quite upset. So, yeah, basically, he's telling his mates that he feels rather unappreciated. Now, since that, the Dragons have shut down the whole Zach Lomax thing, especially considering he was one of the standout players of the weekend. I think he produced career best figures on the wing, running 250 metres, scoring a try, involved in a try. The irony, of course, is he doesn't want to play wing. So there's a little bit going on between Zach Lomax and Morgan Harper and the Dragons and the Eels, but I'm sure it'll all sort itself out in the next few weeks.
Now, I didn't see you out at the Nines in Vegas, but I got to say I intended to go for both days play, full days, and I didn't make that. I left early, I think the first day, and then the second day I got out there for the final. So I wasn't that diligent myself, but it was great to go out there to Desert Breeze Park, which was actually Desert Squall Park, Desert Hurricane Park. The camera blew off the scaffolding and was permanently broken. They had to get another camera up there for the final of the men. So it was crazy. But one fellow, old face I saw out there was Chris McQueen, who we all know played for Queensland, played for England, and he was turning out for the Brooklyn Kings at the Nines. And he actually said to me that he was planning to play in the Queensland Cup this year, that his retirement wouldn't really last very long. He's now found a club, Tony.
Yes, well, you beat me to the scoop, and it was 10 years ago this year that Chris McQueen was part of the famous South Sydney drought-breaking team under Michael Maguire in 2014. Since then, he went on to play with, let me think, the Tigers, the Titans, and the Huddersfield Giants for a couple of years. He's 36, but as you pointed out, his retirement hasn't lasted long, and he's going to be playing for the Brisbane Tigers. And it's a real coup for clubs like the Tigers to get someone of his experience. He's got 200 games plus in Super League and the NRL, and you can imagine what an influence he is over the young guys there. And I know Chris McQueen a bit. I know you do too. And he's the sort of player who will work behind the scenes. He'll ensure that he gets the best out of these young guys, and who knows, it might lead to a career as a coach, because I can see he's got the head on his shoulders to be a good rugby league coach.
Yeah, he actually said to me that he'd like to be the if there is a professional league in America, and we hear about that every 5 years, and it hasn't happened yet. But he said if it does ever happen, he'd like to be the CEO. He believes he's got what it takes to be an administrator, and he'd bide his time and learn that trade. So now, if I can do a little bit of subbing on your column, Tony, your final item starts with the Tigers, and the reader might think you're talking about East Tigers still, but you actually mean West Tigers, and you're talking about a young fella who plays for the Maggies in the Matthews Cup. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Now he's a centre. His name, I believe, is pronounced Hamesai Makasini. Now he's 18 years old. He's playing in the Harold Mats. He's played 3 games. In those 3 games, he's scored 5 tries and 17 goals. Now, using my fingers and toes, that's 54 points in 3 games for this fella. So he's quite a find for the Tigers. They're pretty excited by him. He actually plays for the west side of the merger in Harold Matthews, but he also has played for Australia last year in under-16 rugby union. So I think rugby union have their claws out for him as well. So he's one for the little black books. Let's put it that way.
That's West Tigers, not East Tigers. Tony, we're back in the rhythm now. We're back. So I'm looking forward to posting this video, and we've got some great engagement and some great viewership and all that sort of stuff, and subs. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Before we both went to Vegas and ruined our momentum. So as I said, we're picking up where we left off about 3 weeks ago. Talk to you next week, Tone.
All right, and we might even talk about some Vegas stories, or does what happened in Vegas really stay in Vegas?
Well, we haven't even talked about round 1 of the NRL in general, have we? So I don't know. We'll see. We might talk next week. Now there's footy on. This is the first time we've had an episode during the NRL season. So we might start the show by having a quick look back at the weekend. But anyway, we'll look forward to next weekend. We'll figure that out between now and the middle of next week. See you, Tone.
See you, Steve.